Alright everybody, we are back again with another episode of Get Decked, the series where I open an Elite Trainer box. Today we've got Temporal Forces, or just 9 booster packs of a Pokemon TCG set in the Scarlet and Violet era. We use whatever cards we can to add them to a deck that we've built throughout the series. We play test the deck, and then we give it a final score based on its consistency, its power, and its synergy. To give you the spark notes on the series, Scarlet and Violet base was fantastic. It got us off to a great start. Paldea Evolved was pretty good. Obsidian Flames was miserable. 151 was somehow fucking worse. Paradox Rift was like the best opening we've had, but most of the pieces weren't even usable in the deck. But finally, we opened Paldean Fates last video, and it totally brought us back on track. The way the deck's put together now, it's kind of like a Gardevoir EX, but it's missing some key pieces. But I'm excited for Temporal Forces. This bitch might have Ace Specs. So, I mean, if this deck gets something like a Prime Catcher, it could totally, it could send the power up. It could, it could keep us going in the right trajectory. I don't really remember what else is in the set that could help us out here. But I'm excited to get into it and find out. But if you haven't watched anything yet, I've linked the series below in the description. Go watch up to this point because it's been a roller coaster. And to jump in on episode 7 is a little silly, don't you think? Before we jump into these packs, in our last video, again, we opened Paldean Fates. We finished the video off with a total score of 20 points out of 30, with consistency scoring 7 out of 10, power scoring 6 out of 10, and synergy scoring 7 out of 10 also. Here's a picture of what the deck looks like before we get into these packs. And now that you know where we're at, let's move forward. Alright, we got our packs. We got our Iron Thorns promo. There's like a 3% chance that card ends up in the deck. There's no way I get what I need to pivot this deck into like a future box. It is cool though. I mean, you gotta love Tyranitar. I don't hate what they did with the future Pokemon. Like, Iron Thorns is cool. But alright, we're gonna rip into these packs. So, to introduce myself, I'm Bad Luck Brett. Thanks for joining me. Hope you're enjoying your day, week, month, life, summer, But, here's your code. We got Bronzor. Dude, I already saw the pink. There's a fucking Ace Spec in the first pack. If it's the ancient one or the future one, I'm gonna be pissed. But if it's anything else, we may be in good shape. Alright, we got Mudbray, Yasli, Finizen, Metagross, Roserade, Keldeo. Come on. Oh. Alright, we got the Neo Upper Energy. So as long as it's attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless. If it's attached to a stage 2 Pokemon, it provides 2 energy at a time of all types. So this is only effective on Gardevoir, and Gardevoir can attach as many fucking Psychic Energies as you want to it, as long as they're in your discard. I hope that if this is the only Ace Spec we get, I'm gonna be so butthurt. But okay, that's fine. And then, oh, we actually got a Mudsdale Art Rare and Fluttermane. Fluttermane, I forgot about Fluttermane. There's a good chance this goes in the deck, maybe to replace Mimikyu. We'll see. But I mean, great first pack. You can't complain with that. I gotta grab sleeves. But yeah, so I'm Brett. I've been playing Pokemon TCG for about a year. I'm doing this series for a few months. It's been a blast. Again, if you haven't watched up to this point, the video quality is not really consistent because I'm still new at this and I'm figuring out stuff as I go. But it's been a blast. It's been a wild ride. My wife and I teach kids at our local library how to play Pokemon TCG. We've held events at local game stores now. We went to Card Party. So my wife, son, and I have only been around the community for about a year, but we've been heavily involved. We jumped in head first and we love it. But we got a Grotle, another Finizen, another Bronzor, Mightyena, dude, the Buddy Poffin. I thought that was in Paradox Rift. I don't know. Maybe I'm just losing it, but that 100% is going to the deck. That's huge. We got Iron Treads, a Boxed Order, Shaman Reverse, Sawsbuck, and another Flutterman. Okay, I don't think we're gonna need two, but we take it. First card in the pack's a Finizen, I swear. I haven't pulled a Finizen this whole series, and it's been in like 3 different sets. The fact that I've opened 3 packs of Temporal Forces and I've found 3 Finizen is absolutely fucking wild. We got another Finizen though, and another Bronzor, another Mightyena, Erosion, Golurk, another Shaman, Cypher Maniac, that probably won't make it in the deck, who knows. We got a Colossal, another Bronzor, and Koraidon. Again, I don't see a lot of ancient Pokemon making it into this deck, so. Besides Fluttermane, but it's not going to become an ancient box deck. Unless I get, like, a bunch of Roaring Moons and a bunch of Fluttermanes and Koraidons and all that good stuff. But I'm really not banking on that. Alright, I feel like this is what, the 4th or 5th pack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 4th pack. And I swear we've only seen the same Pokemon over and over and over again. But we got Duosion, Haunter, Pikachu, Ghastly. There's a Gengar EX in this set. I would take the Gengar. That could be fun. Alright, Bombi, Future Booster, Iron Hands, Totodile, Dunsparce, and we got Incineroar EX. So I have 0 Fire-type Pokemon in my deck. But I have some decent Fire-type pieces. This one could be tempting. That could be a tempting play if I get the rest of the pieces. We'll chuck it in the sleeve for now. And we will continue. So, this pack's just about our halfway point. Again, really hoping to see another Ace Spec, because that Neo Upper Energy is a Neo Downer. Haunter, Pikachu, Ghastly. Dude, I swear, it's the same Pokemon every time. LGM, Vikavolt, there's some new ones. Great Tusk, we're not going to become a mill deck. Salvatore, Electivire, Screamtail, and Iron Valiant. So this Screamtail is actually not nearly as good as the one that's already in the deck that I have 2 of from Paradox Rift. Don't expect to see that one. Alright, LGM. Sizzlipede, Marill, Golett. That could go in. I like Rescue Board. I'll put that one off to the side. Handy Socks, Hand Trimmer, 3rd Fluttermane, because we needed another one. Meltan, and Macargo, in case we feel like pivoting into a Fire-type deck. Seltzer of the day is Polar Orange Vanilla. It's the seltzer of every day. Polar, please sponsor me. I almost said please seltzer me. But yeah, so if you're a returning viewer, you know, if you're one of my subscribers or you've watched some videos, you'll notice my setup is yet again different. It feels much better this time around, the changes I've made, and all I did was switch my cameras. So my phone is now my face cam, and my Canon, I have an EOS M200, great early Christmas gift for my wife last year, is now on my cards. And the wire management's way better. My camera's picking up way less. Like, I feel good about this setup. And I feel like you get a better view of me. Because I'm the reason you're all here. But all jokes aside, like, I talk with my hands. I'm a somewhat animated person. When it's just like my face in the camera, you can't see any of that. Like, I'm moving the whole time, and there's no view of that. But I digress. You've got a Sizzlipede, a Marill, a Golett, a Dunsparce. The Dunsparce is in this set too, right? Not that I would use that as a draw engine, but like, it could be an option down the line. Bronzong, Excadrill, another Screamtail, another Iron Hands. Oh, buddy. We got Drampa. And, don't get me wrong. This card's not gonna make the deck. But, I love this artwork. I've loved this artwork. It reminds me of, like, Studio Ghibli kind of animation. Love it. And there's our Iron Thorns, which is the same card as our promo. All right. Another relatively useless card, but lovely. Gotta organize a little bit here. So, I can already kind of envision a few cards that are gonna go into the deck, and I really, unless something crazy comes up in these last 2 packs, excuse me, I don't see the deck changing a crazy amount. But we got Dunsparce, Schnam, Mudbray, oops, we got Minccino, Rabsca. I know I have a Rellor in some of my cards here, because I played the old Rabsca before in the series. This could be great bench protection, because I don't have Manaphy, obviously. And this is better than Jirachi. This is worth considering. Fortress, Full Metal Lab, Ponyta, Behem, and an Explorer's Guidance Full Art. Oh, and there's your code. Well, we take the poll, but there's no way this is any use to us. Actually, I mean, I guess realistically, I could use that, end up discarding items, or not items, energy, and keeping 2 key cards. I don't know, maybe that's worth considering. Maybe that can go well with Gardevoir. But we are on to our last pack. I'm gonna move my shit over, get organized. We're on our last pack. So let's see what we can find. We got a Snom, we got a Mudbray, we got Minccino, Rockruff, Zeraora, Iron Valiant, Sharpedo. Oh my god. Two Ace Specs and 1 Elite Trainer box. Please be something decent. Fuck. It's the stupid fucking reboot pod. Damn it. And then we got a Medicham and Relicanth. Actually, Relicanth is pretty good. That's worth a look at. There's your code. Relicanth goes well with a lot of Stage 1, Stage 2 Pokemon because its ability allows you to use attacks from previous evolutions. So, Relicanth is maybe worth a look. Oh, this is what I was worried about. We got two Ace Specs in the friggin' box, and they both are just the wrong Ace Specs. And then on top of that, in addition, you know, we got our 2 Ace Specs, 2 illustration rares, our Full Art Explorer's Guidance, and we got 1 EX. We got the Incineroar EX. I'm gonna move it away from my damn face. So here's what we got as far as big pulls. Again, I've got a few cards that I know are gonna need to go in the deck, but I don't think any big changes are coming here, especially not with the Ace Specs and the EXs we got. We really didn't get any huge tools that are gonna send this deck through the roof. But here's the trying. We're back, done a little bit of cooking. I thought this was gonna be way easier, but I actually did have to do a little bit of deliberation, and it's not a huge change in the deck. You're not gonna see any drastic changes. I'm not gonna do a full deck profile in this video, like I did in the last episode, because only 4 cards are coming out and 4 cards are going in. So the other 56 are the same. If you caught up at this point in the series, or you examined the picture of the deck at the start of the episode, I don't think you're going to need to be reintroduced to the entire deck, and the strategy is more the same. Anyway, what we have coming out of the deck are 1 Mimikyu, our Great Ball, and 2 Psychic Energies. What we have going into the deck, you've got our Fluttermane, which is basically just a perfect replacement for Mimikyu. Mimikyu can wall EXs and do decent damage with Psychic Attack, but Fluttermane does more damage. Fluttermane does damage to the bench, and Fluttermane shuts off opponents' active abilities. So, I think Fluttermane's a stronger tool against different opponents, even though my son plays the same shit every time. Also going into the deck, the replacement for the Great Ball is the Buddy Buddy Poffin. The Great Ball is inconsistent. You can miss it, unless you use it late and you have something that you're trying to get in your deck. Great Ball is just not awesome. Buddy Buddy, I can turn 1 or turn 2 Arven into a Buddy Poffin, and I'm setting up nicely. To replace my 2 basic energies, I have my 1 of Relor and Rabska that I just got. Rabska's ability, Spherical Shield, prevents all damage from and effects of attacks from my opponent's Pokemon done to my bench Pokemon. So it's kind of like a stage 1 Manaphy, except it blocks damage counters from something like Sableye, and it blocks bench damage from something like the new Pheasantipity EX or Radiant Greninja. Again, knowing that my son only plays Sableye, but he won't be ready for it. The only deliberation I had a difficult time choosing. When I pulled out the 2 Psychic Energy, my original thought was to pull out 2 Energy Search cards. These. So I almost got rid of these for 2 basic energy, but I have enough energy in the deck, and if I draw into one of these, I can get Dark type or Psychic type energy for Rev of Rune's ability. I can get it for an attachment on a Roaring Moon or whatever, and I think that gives me just a little more consistency than just drawing into more energy when I need it. Especially with Earthen Vessels in the deck and a consistent Dry Engine, I feel as though the Energy Search will do me a little better than just having 2 extra energy. But hey, there's the deck. We're going to get into some playtesting. We're going to give it a final grade and see if we've taken another leap forward with Temporal Forces. Getting into the playtesting here, my son and I have 3 very different games with very different outcomes on this one. So turn 1 here I have highlighted because turn 1 going second, I Iono, get a fresh hand, go straight into the Buddy Buddy Poffin, and suddenly I'm setting up my whole bench with my basic Pokemon, which is using my new Buddy Buddy Poffin that's thankfully in the deck. And I'm also able to utilize other tools like my Cleffa, and just gives me an ability to have a strong first turn. Cutting to the second turn in the game, I draw into my Rev of Room, evolve, and hit the Earthen Vessel. I grab 2 energies just to discard them with an Ultra Ball, and I grab my Gardevoir. From here though, I have a lot of difficulty getting the rare candies out of my deck. The problem with this game was that Curlio was in my prizes, one of my 2 rare candies was in my prizes, and I had difficulty drawing into an Arven or finding one, and he was my only way of searching out that last rare candy. So I bench another room and end up passing my turn after discarding more precious resources. I also, in this game, made the mistake of over-benching. I don't really need 2 Rev of Room, and I just overdid it. also my Noivern is prized. But fast forwarding again, I do eventually get my Gardevoir back out, and I do get the rare candy in hand. I'm able to accelerate the energy on the Screamtail and finish off the weakened Drapion V-Star. From there, my Gardevoir immediately gets counter-catchered into the active, hit with the Calamity Storm for weakness, so double damage, and just like that, it's gone. But I make another mistake here by gusting with Iron Bundle's Hyper Blower ability, where he has a free retreat Dunsparce sitting on his bench, so really just a waste of a card that could have otherwise been valuable. But I get my Roaring Moon out, trying to energize it, knowing it's going to have to be my final attacker, with Noivern and Gardevoir being out of the question, and no longer being able to accelerate energy onto Screamtails. Jumping ahead again, it's a Roaring Moon mirror match at this point. I'm able to use Poppy to switch my energy from Noibat to Roaring Moon, and I'm able to use the Calamity Storm to finish off the Roaring Moon. My son, however, makes a pretty witty choice to throw on the Survival Brace to his Dunsparce, which prevents it being knocked out in one hit by damage, which ultimately forces me to use Frenzied Gouging, which puts 200 damage on my Roaring Moon, as opposed to knocking it out for no damage on myself with Calamity Storm. He does also, however, make the mistake of Ultra Balling for a Dunsparce, trying to draw into more cards, when he should have Ultra Balled for a next attacker and started energizing that Pokemon immediately, because he's left his board state pretty poor with nothing but a Brute Bonnet after I've knocked out his Dunsparce. Ultimately, this game dragged on for what felt like forever, but as you see, we're deliberating whether or not the Ace Spec protects my son's Dunsparce. We find that it does. Finally here though, my son makes a choice. He Ultra Balls for the Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, which ups poison damage by 20. And so with Brute Bonnet's ability and Sneasler's extra damage, my son is able to poison Roaring Moon, knock it out, which just brings Noivern up into the active, and I'm finally able to take the knockout, winning the first game. Cruising into the second game, I'm on my second turn here, and I'm able to Arven for the rare candy and the TM evolution. I'm able to get Artisan out, and like in the blink of an eye, I'm able to use evolution, and I've got Noivern EX, Gardevoir EX, and Revavroom all set up on my bench. The only thing that prevented me from getting a turn 1 win against my son was the fact that I had no energy to accelerate with Gardevoir yet. But as we pluck along, I do manage to discard more energy and go through more resources in my deck. Using 2 energy searches for 2 psychic energy. Using 2 energy searches for 2 psychic energy. Ultra Balling them both away for absolutely nothing because I don't need any more Pokemon out. And just like that, I've got enough energy to attach to Fluttermane, and I can start damaging with Hex Hurl, which does 90 to the active and 20 to the bench. The following turn, I attach an extra energy to Fluttermane to circumnavigate Pokemon League headquarters, grab some more resources with Arven and Revavroom's ability, and then end up taking a 2-prize knockout with the active Shuppet and finishing off the Flittle with the 20 bench damage. In this game, my son particularly struggled with evolving his Pokemon fast enough, and I really just kept keeping his bench state at bay before he could really get Banette EX or Espathra EX ready to do anything really, and Pheasantipity ends up being his only attacker used in the game. But here, my son uses Boss's Orders to get around Noivern's stall ability, preventing damage to Noivern after an attack. He gets my Fluttermane out, and he gets his Pheasantipity with enough energy to attack, but he makes the choice of putting damage counters on my Gardevoir instead of taking a knockout on either Fluttermane or Screamtail. From here, I bench Rellor, which ultimately becomes a mistake. Again, with Rapska's ability, it would protect my bench from Pheasantipity, but I ultimately clogged my bench with it. But at any rate, I accelerate all my energy on Screamtail, and I'm able to attack any Pokemon for 160, taking out a Xatu, which cuts his draw engine in half. Here, my son finally makes the very late choice to bench Manaphy, where had he done that in the first couple turns of the game, he would probably be in a much better state. And he does this time attack, choosing to knock out Screamtail with Pheasantipity. But if anyone's seen this series before, they've seen that I've got two Screamtails, and I just load up the second one, and I'm able to take 160 damage onto the active Pheasantipity, again with the bench being protected. And my son again comes out with Pokemon League headquarters, uses TM Devo, which knocks out my Ralts, giving him a prize, but ultimately isn't enough to shut down any of my Pokemon and just leaves my Screamtail in the active ready for the final knockout of the game. Here, jumping into the third game, which thankfully is a quick one at this point, my son, turn 2, has Pidgeot EX out, he's got 2 Charmanders, and he's able to quick search for his resources. The following turn, after I evolve an attack, he's able to grab Duskull, he's able to grab Charizard, and he's getting ready to sweep me, where I have very few Pokemon and resources to defend myself against. I also make the mistake of attacking with Noivern's Dominating Echo attack, which does 140 damage, where I could have hit 470 and prevented any damage to Noivern, which would force my son to get something like a Boss's Orders or a Counter Catcher out. But my son makes a great play by getting Dusknoir on the bench, which KOs the Ralts, giving me another prize card, which ups Charizard's damage just enough to activate Defiance Band, knock out Noivern, and crush me. And at this point, I've already accepted defeat because I know Roaring Moon stands no chance next turn, and I have no more benched Pokemon to defend myself with. So, Caden gets a dub on the third one. Yeah, so my ring light just wilted like a sunflower, like it literally just slumped over, and my camera won't stay up. My angle's kind of fucked up, I'm afraid to touch it. I just want to get through the outro and then see what I can do with this damn light. So, with 4 cards changing in a 60 card deck, you can't expect a lot to be feeling different. Buddy Buddy Poffin is in all facets better than a Great Ball, and Fluttermane is in all facets better than Mimikyu. I mean, both of those cards came into play somewhat regularly, and they showed why they're better in the playtesting. Had I played 10 times against 10 different decks, you probably would have seen Rabsca shine a little bit, but it's not going to against the matchups that I had, at least not with Charizard in early game before I can really get going. So, with those thoughts in mind, I think consistency has to stay at a 7 out of 10. Power, while I would love to bump it up a quarter of a point for Fluttermane, is going to stay at a 6 out of 10. And the synergy is going to stay at 7 out of 10 as well. So our score is starting and ending at 20 for this video. However, the next one we're going to be opening Twilight Masquerade, and that's more opportunities for more powerful Ace Specs. That's another opportunity for Monkey Dory, which will give us yet another powerful attacker to go with Gardevoir. So I'm excited to keep pushing forward. Again, I think the deck is stable, and at this point we're just looking for some of those smaller pieces to add to it. And I think by the time we catch up with Shrouded Fable and eventually Stellar Crown, we might be looking at like a 24 or 25 out of 30 deck instead of 20 points. So sky's the limit at this point. But hey, thank you for watching, especially if you've made it this far. See you with Twilight Masquerade.